this is Dharmendra. Hi to everyone. So yeah, I worked in corporate for almost 9 years. And 4 years back, I left my job and started exploring different schools of thoughts. So somehow I've been exploring more into permaculture. Today, coming to the topic, climate change. Yeah, I think everyone will talk about climate change, wherever you see any conference. So before starting anything, I just want to, listen to you, or else want to see what are your thoughts on climate change. Global warming, resource depletion, pollution, threat, youth action, climate justice, disaster. Beautiful. Oh, nice. Okay. One positive word. Okay. Uh, Environment, high temperatures, opportunity to unite, unpredictable nature, change in climate patterns. Okay. Destruction, environment, temperature issues, extreme weather events, disaster, biodiversity. Few people said it's unpredictable nature, quality of water, soil, air. Okay. Youth action, high temperatures, industries. Very good. So we all have some. Okay. Someone entered this now. Destruction, luxurious life, opportunity to unite, unpredictable nature, industries. So thanks for entering all your inputs and sharing your thoughts. Yeah, so there are many reasons for climate change, and we all know about it. But what next? Like when it comes to your action, so what we can do? That's what we are discussing. We are about to discuss today. We have a lot of speakers and very good people who are working on ground to share their experiences. So, okay, I have one more thing to ask. I'm just posting the question again. So what are the, just try to look around. Okay. So wherever you are and what is around you, just try to look around you and try to answer this question. So what are the support systems around you? So you might be working, or you might be like now studying, you might be doing whatever job here, but so what are the support systems around you to continue that work? You can just think about few seconds and you can try to answer this question. Family, internet, neighbors, NGO, professor, staff members, kitchen garden, like-minded people, my farm. Okay, let us wait for a few more seconds. Technology, neighbors, like-minded people, environment, NGO, Vipassana, very good. Network, professor, environment, farm, kitchen garden. All right. So we have a lot of support systems around us, which will help us to continue whatever work we are doing. But if you see any in front of you, maybe there might be a chair. You're using a lot of lifestyle choices in your life that comes with when you talk about climate change. Everything, whatever systems we are using, or whatever things around us, they are contributing back to the this kind of issues which are facing. Maybe they are, you all know about like the carbon footprints, or else the embodied energy in every each and every element which are using in our lifestyle. Okay. So why I'm asking all these things? See, most of the times we feel like resources are unlimited. Okay, but for your information, resources are very limited. Okay, only our greed become unlimited. So we started exploiting the resources which is around us, and then for all these elements which we are using in our life, they are causing some kind of destruction. Okay, back in the environment. So that is causing something related to the climate change. So why I'm asking these questions to you is like, from now you have to think about the lifestyle choices, like what are the elements we are using in our life, and what are the lifestyle choices which are bringing to our systems and how they are causing the climate change. All right. So let me just share my screen again, and I'll do a small. Why I have asked these things is like many people will say that the support systems can be the environment, or else the family, or else some people their pets, okay, the animals or birds. So what I'm trying to do is now is very simple exercise, like maybe for another few minutes, about the different elements around us, or else different systems around us. So we can just make it into 4 orders. Okay. So let me share my screen, and I want all of your help in this. You can use the chart window. If you are not able to access anything, you can just use the chart window and just try to enter your inputs. So okay, sorry. So there are a few orders around us, like as in support system, many of you said, different things around you are your support system. So there are many materials which we use, which is not having life. So that comes from your furniture, or else your clothing, or whatever it is. There are many material orders around us. And then plant order, and then animal order, and then finally human order. Okay. So why I have taken these, there are many other orders, but most of the time, all these support systems which we have around us have these main 4 orders. So I have taken for this particular exercise, I have taken these 4 orders. So birds and other living beings also, we can just put it in the animal order. Okay, for this exercise. Okay, so what we'll do now is, like, let us see the contribution. Okay, so material order to plant order. Can anyone just tell me, like, what material order can contribute to the plant order? So what a material order, materials, anything can be a material, like, around you. Oh, okay. Fertilizers, and maybe all these are natural, we feel. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Ignatia. Anything else? So any kind of materials which, like, all these minerals or else leaves, all the fallen leaves, okay, that comes under the material order, will be coming to the plant order. So what plant order can contribute to the material order? So there are many things, materials like the wood, carbon, all these things will be like, plant order can contribute to the material order. Okay, next, plant order to animal order. What plant order is contributing to the animal order? Okay, grass, I mean food. Okay, fodder, shelter. Very good. So I'm reading all of your answers, and then food, shelter. Thanks, Arun. Oxygen. Okay. All right. So let us see. Yeah, food, shelter, oxygen, and many other things are coming from plant order to animal order. Okay. Now let us see from animal order to plant order what is coming. So what animal order is contributing to the plant order? Okay, oxygen, manure, meat, seed. Wow, that is very nice. Spreading seeds and carbon dioxide. Okay, dairy products. Very good. So yeah, that is a good point. So animals and even birds, they help in spreading the seeds, at the same time pollination. Okay. All right. So manure, pollination, and many others are coming. So next one. Oh, sorry. So what comes from animal order to material order? Clothes, leather, medicine, raw material. Oh, very nice. Okay. Good. Good to see a lot of people are responding now. Very nice. All right. So there are many things, like, once the animal, like after their death, the skin, feathers, and then a lot of manure will be converting as a material order. All right. So what comes from material order to animal order? Material order is contributing to animal order. Okay, shelter. Anything else? Safety. Okay. All right. Okay, let us see what is there. Yeah, shelter, food, and many other things are coming from material order to animal order. Okay, next, material order to human order. What is going from material order to human order? A lot of things, right? Yeah. So, so shelter, Yeah, many basic necessaries. So whatever we are using, everything, most of the things will come from material order, shelter, clothes, and many other things. Okay. So let us see from plant order to what is going to human order. Everything we use, life, okay, oxygen, food, herbs, almost everything, okay. Right. So plant order to animal order, plant order to human order, food, shelter, air, and we don't leave anything. Okay, so a lot of things are coming from plant order to human. Okay, so finally animal order to human order. Okay, chicken, meat. Okay, so let's call it as food. Okay, okay, dairy products, uh, companionship, very nice, very positive answer. Food, medicine, fur, leather. All right. Yeah, so food, I mean, a lot of some people will use animals for the transport and many other aspects are there. So thanks for all your answers, and I'm really happy that now you're interacting and using the chat window as a medium for the interaction. All right, so let us see now what comes from human order to animal order. You can just think about few seconds and just try to answer what contribution is coming from human order to animal order. Change in genetics, cruelty, thinking expect violence. All right. So, see, some people may say that we are just giving care and we are giving food. So all these things comes with some kind of conditioning. Okay, because suppose if you take a dog, so it won't really see whether it is some particular person or else he is good or bad. They'll give the the same love and affection for everyone, but humans, like, we have very conditioning, like, I need this particular dog, or else I need this particular animal, and others we will never care. So I'm not saying we don't give any contribution from human order to animal order, but I'm just putting a question mark here. So whether that particular contribution is coming with a conditioning, or it is kind of contribution which comes from the animals. Okay. The second thing, from human order to plant order. What comes from human order to plant order? Okay, Srividya, carbon dioxide. Okay, menu, care to get back, flood, agriculture, food, oxygen, change in genetics for better food use. Okay. Yeah, so few people may say, like, we are giving water and then manure and all these things, but again, whether we really just look at the that particular plant, if it is not giving any fruit or flower, so whether we really care about that particular plant if it is not giving anything to us. So I'm not saying anything here, but I'm just giving keeping a question mark. At the same time, human order to material order, maybe like after our death, whether we will be giving the contribution to the material order or not. Again, I'm just keeping a question mark here. So, okay, so thanks for all your inputs. So, why I am asking these questions, or else why I am have chose to discuss this thing, particular contribution part today, is something like, if you see material order, they don't have life, they can't really move, they can't think, they can't take decisions. Okay, but if you see the contribution, they are contributing to the all other three orders without having any kind of condition. Okay, and coming to plant orders, they have life, but they can't move until unless you move, and they can't maybe they can't really take the decisions. And coming to the animal order, they don't yeah, they have life, they can move and they can take decisions, but if you see maybe trained, like if you compared to the humans, they cannot take the decisions as exactly as humans, but still they are contributing back to the other three orders. Okay, coming to the humans, so we have life, we can move, we can think, we can take decisions, and we always feel like we are the wonderful creation, we are the superior species in the planet Earth. But coming to the contribution, it is coming with a question mark. Okay, and if you see the dependency, So material order, plant order, animal order, they are really not depending on human order. They are self-sustainable. They can just take care of their own needs. But if you see the human order, we are all like depending on these material order and plant order and animal order. Okay, but coming to the contribution part, it's coming with a question mark. So why I have I'm just talking about all these things today is something like, so all these days, we are always taking something from these orders, like whether it is coming from material or else plant or else animal, but we are not giving back anything. Okay, we are not giving back anything to those orders. Without them we can't even sustain. Like a simple example if I want to say is like, so you have a bottle of water. Continuously if you are just taking the water and you are not trying to fill it back, so what happens, like there, as I said earlier, resources are very limited. Okay, there is nothing called like we have unlimited resources. So so I'm just leaving a thought for all of you now, like what contribution we can give back to the other orders or else nature or else this particular cause like climate change. Okay, so I have a question for all of you, which you can just try to answer it. Maybe like, so what contribution we can give from our side for this particular cause? So whatever it is, like to the other orders or else this cause. So you can just try to answer this question. I'll wait for half a minute, then we can just proceed further. Anything what comes to your mind, like because we have discussed few things just now, like there are many things which are helping us to sustain, like in a daily life. We need all these things for us, but what contribution we can give back to them, or else what contribution we can give back for this particular cause? So you can access the question in chat window and try to answer it. This is an open-end question. You can enter whatever answer you want. There is no restriction in the word limit. What comes to your mind? Anything? Okay, so what contribution we can give back to the other orders or else for this particular cause? You can just access the question. So unlearn and upskill, minimalist living, selfless, giving balanced mind with good for nature, more responsibility, less dependency, minimalistic lifestyle, selfless service to other beings. Okay, support agroforestry to save the soil. So let's get back to our roots and follow our old values, customs and culture. Plant more trees, avoid plastic, use bicycle. No, very nice. Okay, maximize usage of minimal goods and then recycle. Very nice. All right. Okay, so thanks for entering all your inputs. So my intention of discussing this, maybe you all may be just thinking it's very simple thing, but this is very important thing. Like especially if you see most of the natural resources are getting depleted because of our own lifestyle choices. So please be aware of you and just think about what is happening in your life and which is causing to the bigger damage, and then how we can contribute for the cause. Okay, so most of the people they think like there is a lot of plastic is coming, then how we can just so there is a small solution. You all can make this as a plastic brick, and then you can see we can use it as a small tool for sitting. So there are many small solutions around us. You can see this is one of the thing in alternative school in Udaipur. So all see, there is nothing called waste. So when the resource is placed wrongly, that will become waste. So this is that student make this as a tool. It's a musical chair. So almost like 12-15 sounds he made. I was really shocked to see. So all these are like just lying around, but he could collect them and make it. So one important thing, I really like this slide. Always like I'll try to share this because we always think about recycling or else but there are many are like refuse, reduce, reuse, repair, regift, then recover, then finally like we can think about the recycling. And then one important thing is like rethinking. So just be mindful of your consumption, and your relationship with the things around you and the relationship with the mother earth. So definitely, like, it will help us to do something, and at the same time contribute for the cause, which is like most of the people we are talking nowadays. And then, see, unfortunately, we are all focusing on material development, but we need consciousness development. Okay, so we need something like, look at the nature and do something. Like if you see the tree, so there are how many functions in tree? Like, it will give biomass, it will give shade, it will give shelter, it will give food. It it can just store a lot of water in the roots. So there are many functions in nature, if you see. But in man-made systems, unfortunately, we focus on only the need, only our need, not any other living beings need. So time to think about like the consciousness development, not just thinking about the material development. And one more example I would like to give always, like take a bird. Like what bird will do, like it spread the seeds, and at the same time it will avoid the things which are just damaging, like small insects it will eat. At the same time it will fertile the soil. So whatever development you are saying, like drones or something you are talking about, but how many functions is that is having that particular man-made system? So compared to the nature, we are always like we are just focusing on only needs, not the entire system functions. See, nature discarded many living beings, especially like dinosaurs, and because they are not contributing to the whole. Okay, when comes to the humans also, when you are not contributing to the whole, okay, then we will also be discarded. The best example is COVID. Okay, so one, okay, fine, we all like agree, like there are a lot of things happen, there is a lot of trauma, many things happen because of COVID. But one good thing happened is like, there is a lot of things came back in nature, like the pollution got settled. We saw very clear Himalayan views, and then Indian Gate is visible in Delhi. All these things have happened, but what cost? At what cost? We lost many of our loved ones. In each and every family got some issue. Like we lost many people, friends, relatives, or else mentors. So, do we really need to lose someone like to fix these kind of issues, or else to give contribution back to the nature? Can't we, change a small lifestyle choices our life, so that it can really fix the issues? So, nature is always like from long time is giving a message to us. Please, slow down. Okay, please change your lifestyle. But we are not listening to that. So I think now we have to think, do we really need another pandemic? Do we really need something like, Corona to come back and take our loved ones or else ourselves to fix these issues? Can't we really, change small habits, small, lifestyle choices to fix these, bigger issues? And then the contribution to the next generations. Okay, we have all facilities. What about the next future generation? Okay, what about the people who are coming next? Okay, yeah. So finally, I would say, like, please think about all these things. I know, like, saying things is very easy, but coming to the action part is tough. So that is the only reason I always say action steps are very simple. Okay, so we can easily change. We can just look around your things. If you're just switching off your fan, okay, switching off your light when you're just stepping out of the place where you're living, in your office when you're just leaving the office, if you switch off your system, okay, or else, like, because see, all these lifestyle choices are changing, and then creating a bigger, like, locust attacks, or else farmer issues. So all these things are directly related to the lifestyle choices which are having. So please, think about all these things, and no need to leave your jobs, no need to go to forest, no need to go to the some other place to just contribute back to the nature. we all have to live in this space. We have to clean this space. Okay, don't run away from problems. Try to address the problems. Try to be part of the solution. My a favorite quote is something like, "If you're not part of the solution, you are the problem." So please be part of the solution, whatever it is. Okay, and I'm really happy to have all of you today, and especially youth, they are, we are all like contributing a lot to a cause now, and I'm really happy to see people like you, and thanks for the opportunity for everyone. Thanks for your patience, and hope you all agree with me, and we all can come together and just work together to address these kind of issues in the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dharmendra Anna. You touched everyone's heart. And in our school textbooks, they used to give examples of predators, and there can't be a better example than human beings, right? When you discussed about those four systems, we are just grabbing, consuming, but we are not giving anything back. And if you remember, when you first showed me that video, I literally cried. The turtle video. And if we pause and look in our own surroundings, what food are we consuming and what water are we consuming at our home? We purify, filter, and consume. But what about all the other life forms living in the city? What quality of water and food are they consuming? And for no reason and no mistake of theirs, they are suffering so much. And it's a matter of time the diseases that get to them come to us, right? A small mosquito, because of the stagnated water and other things, we are seeing increase in the number of dengue cases. And it's a matter of time before things compound and goes out of our hand. The crisis, at times when we discuss about environment and climate change, people think this as a distant crisis. We are very away from it. The challenge is that the crisis is very close and at times we don't observe it. And we believe that we always have this time. And we feel that someone else will come and address these problems. So, as you rightly mentioned, the action should start at home in our own day to day lifestyle. And only if we all combine and do our little bits, then only we can address this. Otherwise, beyond a point, the crisis will be huge and we can't even imagine how horrible the situation might be. Thank you so much, Anna. And I now invite another panel speaker, Nishant Reddy Garu. He is director of Nucleonics company. They are into manufacturing of defense equipment. And 15 years ago, they started an organization called Dharma Seva. As Dharmendra Anna rightly mentioned, the action has to start at an individual level. That should be the first step. And this is very important. First, an individual should be sensitized and one should be aware, then only something can happen. But after that, now that an individual is sensitized, so it's all about how we combine and how we take forward the journey. And Nishant Anna, in these 15 years, they did really good work through Dharma Seva, created awareness on massive initiatives. And at a personal level, he's a practitioner of Vipassana and natural lifestyle. And I now invite Nishant Anna to address the audience on what we can do at our collective level also, apart from the individual level, and what differences we can make in our own lifestyle to address this problem.
So it was a very good insight and thought-provoking speech by Dharmendra Garu. And he's talked about small solutions which have to start at our own homes in a small little way. It's very practical, I must say. So he also mentioned about the COVID-19 pandemic, which has taken its toll. It has really shattered many lives, in various ways. It has impacted the youth in a big way, and it has affected financially, physically, mentally, in all possible ways. So we are still in the process of recovering from it. And now we are in this webinar discussing about climate change, another existential challenge for all of us. So are we ready? That's the question that we have in our minds. Are we ready for this challenge? We are not even finished handling COVID. So what are the lifestyle choices that we have made? What is our thought process at this point of time? So is it something that can, let's say, as Dharmendra said, if we get another COVID or another disaster or something of that nature, so what is our strength at this point of time? So we have to look at it in a very holistic manner. So that's where I have summarized certain aspects related to this based on my own experiences. So to start with, I can say that there's a broadly a lifestyle pattern, a thought process, which I call it a self-centered, egoistic type of a pattern that is the most prevalent in the society as on today. It's based on the current modern education system, which is focusing on the external aspects of the so-called development. So as a result of that, the people are becoming lesser and lesser empathetic to what's going on around them. They're more focused on their own professional growth and their own materialistic growth, because that has become a benchmark, a status symbol and a benchmark for comparison. So throughout their life, they are running from a milestone to another milestone to another milestone with there's no end to it. And their state of mind is like they get a high when they achieve something. And then again, they are normal. They want to go for the next milestone. On the whole, they are miserable set of people. On the physical level, their health deteriorates as the age progresses. Their dependency on the medicine increases because of their lifestyle. As far as from the climate perspective, they burn carbon. That is their contribution. So they're doing damage to the environment, as we have seen in the previous talk, how dependent we are on, we are overdrawing the resources. So this is one type of lifestyle and thought process which I've summarized. There's another type of thought process and lifestyle which I call it as an indulgent type. These are a set of people who are mentally weak and they don't have ready solutions for the real world problems. So they indulge. They indulge in intoxicants, they indulge in drugs, they indulge in passion with the opposite gender, they indulge in gambling, video games, and many other aspects like this. It's a temporary relief that they are deriving from all this. And then again, they are back to their state of mind. They want it again. So it's an addictive behavior that they're developing. So these people are on the destructive path. Destruction to themselves, destruction to the people around them. They cause pain to the people around them. They cause pain to the environment. So as far as climate change is concerned, they are very damaging. So they have a damaging role. So my question to one and all who are part of this webinar, is it the kind of lifestyle, are these the kind of lifestyles that we should live in? I'm sure you agree with me that this is certainly not the kind of lifestyle that we should be living in. So coming to myself, I must also admit that I too have passed through this lifestyles of being self-centered and indulging. So I have myself had graduated from a top university in US. I had the ambition, the drive. I have achieved my material ambitions, professional ambitions, and I have, during my college days or younger days, was also indulging in intoxicants, though not at a addictive level, but yes. But I must say I'm lucky that one day, just like this, in some kind of some angel has given me the information about Vipassana. That was the first turning point of my life. And I must consider myself lucky that I decided to try it out. So I tried it, the first 10 days course of Vipassana, and it was transformational, trust me. No amount of lectures, no amount of gyan will transform. But a meditation technique of this nature will transform us from at the subconscious level. The transformation is, we are talking of subconscious. When we are discussing at the conscious level. So it doesn't really hit the subconscious unless there is a shock. Okay. So meditation has the capability to transform at the subconscious level. So I have become more empathetic person than before, a happier person, a concerned, caring person, loving person, more stronger person to face problems of bigger nature. Problems were no longer problems for me. So that was the kind of experience. And then the professional, the family, and the social balance which is required, that came in. Earlier my focus was entirely on, it was self-centered. So now there's a balance. Okay, professional, there's a time and then there's an effort that I'm giving. There's a priority, but there's a priority that I'm giving more for the social responsibility. That has become more than the other two, the family and the professional. So that's a big change. So the thought process has changed. That's the point I'm trying to make. So as I kept going, another thought stuck, that why I shouldn't serve people who are needy and the environment. So that's when 15 years ago started this NGO called Dharma Seva. My wife and my cousin, they were kind enough to have joined me and supported me, and they are the trustees. And now we have many members who are very committed. So that was the second turning point, that I decided that there should be an organization. It should be a structured way of service. That's how this came out. So we have done some good work, as Vikas mentioned. We have done over 1 lakh plantations way before the Haritaharam program. And then recently we won a judgment in Lokayukta against the government of Telangana on the subject of eradication of drugs. The judgment clearly said that not enough is being done and the government needs to do more and involve other stakeholders like the education institutions. NGOs like Dharma Seva should be part of the committee. So this was a judgment. So there came a strength out of purity of thought. That's a very important thing. When we are on the path of spirituality, when we are doing meditation, it gives a certain amount of purity and courage and a drive. I don't need anybody to drive me. It's just self-driven. And that drive comes from purity of thought. So then after this came the third turning point. About three years ago, I came in contact with a way of living called natural lifestyle. It's derived from our scriptures, the Vedas. It is living in tune with nature. It's basically about the 5 elements of nature: the fire element, the earth element, the water element, air element, and the earth element, the space element. So we are made from that, and those should be the inputs. Those are the ones which we have to derive in a balanced manner. So let's say the fire element, which is we get from the sunlight. So we are away from sunlight. What happens? Our immunity reduces, or there are many other health issues that come up. So we derive energy from all the elements. Our food is from all the elements. It's not just the edible food what we eat. Sleep is another important aspect. So all these aspects I learned from natural lifestyle. So this was the third turning point. So today, one of the goals of Dharma Seva is to increase the healthy, happy lifespan of people, apart from the environmental goals. But this is a new objective which we have, which we are going to pursue in a very aggressive manner with all the partner NGOs and dynamic, dedicated people like Vikas. I take inspiration from him at his age. He's an amazing guy. So we have to all come together for this kind of objective. So I can confidently summarize that these are the only 3 steps. That is, the first being getting associated with a NGO who have a social commitment. That is the first step that one needs to take on this path. The second step, get into a spiritual path, meditation of some sort. I believe in Vipassana. So there can be other meditation techniques too. The third one being in tune with nature, a natural lifestyle. So these 3 steps will transform us. So we don't have to tell ourselves, okay, I should do something for climate change. I should do this. It is effortless. When we walk on this path, everything happens effortlessly. So this particular concept, what we just discussed, I want to spread it. I have already helped many youth on this. I practice myself. We practice at home. We want to tie up with all the education institutions, host this webinar on a large scale. So we welcome you all to be part of it. And the first step, what I mentioned, to partner with the NGOs, which I'm suggesting. So there are lectures after my lecture. Please listen attentively about what they are doing. There's also a theme dedicated for NGOs. It's a CSOs and climate change on 5th of November. So please log in. And then there's a spirituality, health and climate change on 6th of November. Please log into that too. We have experts, gurus who are coming online for the spirituality talk. They are my teachers. So please, so with this I conclude. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Connecting and working with an NGO, it makes a lot of difference. I just want to share my journey here. I'm a graduate from Bitspilani, but I understood life and world outside college. So after coming back from Delhi to Hyderabad, I thought that I should engage with NGOs and civil society organizations, attend seminars on one day at least a week. So the people that I met, volunteering is the greatest institution, is what I believe. It connected me to people across professions. It made me more humble, and it taught me about resource management, collaborations, and it gave me access to people whom I have not met otherwise. So, as Nishantana rightly mentioned, connecting with an organization will really help in our own locality, the better it is. And they say it right, what we value, we take care of them, we take care of it. So we are, maybe in a way we are stuck in our own routines is what I understand. Suppose if we are very tired throughout the day, we attended multiple workshops or seminars or did some physical work and tired. If a cool breeze comes and hits at us, we feel refreshed, right? If we see the fragrance of a flower, otherwise if we come back home and take a shower. So as Nishantana rightly mentioned, these elements of nature has that positive and energizing influence on us. But in our daily routines, how much time are we taking for ourselves to reconnect with these elements of nature? And as he rightly mentioned, food is not just the food is the physical food that we consume is one aspect of food. So there's a lot more to it. And when I first heard him, it was an eye opener for me too. And thank you so much, Anna. If we really value what nature offers to us, and I truly believe that nature has affordable solutions for everything, be it for health, be it for happiness. If we really connect ourselves with nature, we don't ask for more in life. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you guys. Just a brief, I'm 29, I'm 28 right now. Yeah, so I've started climate action when I was 20. So I'll just try to share my journey. Just currently, I'm a global shaper at World Economic Forum. I've recently trained in climate reality by Al Gore, a former US Vice President. And I also am co-founder of indigenous tribal projects in Eastern Ghats. Yeah. So just give me a second. Yeah. So I want to just share my experiences and my journey in this field, and I hope it can intrigue some energy in you guys today. And I strongly believe youth can make a significant impact, not in just their lives, but they can influence community much better than anyone in this world right now. Yeah. So it all started in 2013. I was 19, 20 years old. I was just doing my engineering at the time in a Guntur, in an engineering college. But when I saw this news about Uttarakhand floods, it was shocking for me to see how people are getting impacted, and those images actually, I couldn't sleep well for days, and I thought of doing something, but I don't know what can I do. I was just in college, and I was like, I should do something. And fortunately, I don't know how. I spoke to the district collector's office at the concerned affected areas in Uttarakhand. That's my first time calling in government officials at a high level. And fortunately, the response was very positive. And and then I went to my college authorities, and I told, let's do some fundraising efforts rather than just doing a lip service. Let's be part of do something for the people there. And I took it up on me, and I did some fundraising efforts back in 2013, and I brought the trust factor by interacting with the government officials in Uttarakhand, and so that whatever fund that we give it will actually materialize in the right way. So it started. It's still not about climate action. I was still figuring out what to do in life at that time, and I didn't know much about climate change and others. Then in 2000, yeah, I'm just trying to. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So in 2014, I passed out of the college and I landed up in an MNC in Delhi. Everything is going fine, but I was still wondering, am I in the right place? There are a lot of other things which are pulling me, to work on grassroots and all. That's where Nepal earthquake came in 2015, and I was in Delhi at the time. Again, a similar kind of experience of Uttarakhand. A lot of people got impacted, and there's a lot of news reports. But again, I wanted to do something, But this time I thought of even do further and let me go on the ground. And let me tell you, it's no easy journey. After earthquake, if you've heard, there are aftershocks, and you need to be ready for that. Like when I talk about aftershocks, I'm talking about magnitude of 6.1 and 6.2, which are considered extreme. And yes, I did face those earthquakes in my journey to Kathmandu because I had to travel by a truck, with my friends, like how we all met online, for just this cause. And we went on a truck to Nepal, and we've met the vulnerable communities in the Himalayas who are impacted with this disaster. I spent 2 weeks with those families, and that has touched me a lot. Seeing it by my eyes, and how their houses got rumbled. Right, you can see the rubble on the left side of the picture, right? And I'm talking about that picture almost for kilometers of journey, right? So that moved me a lot, and and I put down my papers in the corporate. I thought something is pulling me, and I think it's better I start early rather than wait for settling down in the career and starting after 40s. So I thought of putting down my papers, and then I started working in development sector, mostly on grassroots and all. I'm still not aware of climate change. I was 20, I'm 2014, 2015 at the time. I'm still not much aware of climate change. But then I was reflecting, how come such disasters like earthquakes becoming so frequent and so intense? How are floods becoming so frequent and so intense? So I started browsing a lot on internet. I started understanding, and then I started connecting the dots. Then I came to understand, the intensity and vulnerability of these events have amplified in the last few decades, especially after in the new industrial revolution, thanks to a lot of anthropogenic pollution and all those things. So I started understanding, yes, there is something bigger thing that I need to solve. I was just browsing on the internet like most of us do, and then I came across this expedition where young people are invited to Antarctica to understand the impact of climate change. I was like, can people go to Antarctica at the time? Because I'm not sure, is it open to people? But then, yes, fortunately, I applied and I went through. And the biggest challenge for me is I'm not working at the time. I need to raise a funding of almost 10 lakh Indian rupees. That's something like almost like that's 10 lakh Indian rupees. It's quite high for me at the time, not working anywhere. So I had to go to the boardrooms in Hyderabad and surroundings and pitch about me and and all those things. It's a wonderful exercise. And yeah, you can see the picture, right? This is where we went, right? Almost. And this is my team there. And we've seen a lot of icebergs. We've seen a lot of the most pristine places on this planet, I would say. I can still say that. I've been to the Himalayas, I've been to many places, but this always remembers in my heart, Antarctica. This is a tipping iceberg, and this is the land. This is the picture that I've taken, the penguin colonies. And but on the flip side, everything looks good. The weather, everything, the climate, beautiful sunsets, beautiful sunrises. But again, on the flip side, you can see a lot of other things happening, there's Antarctic ice loss. If you see, how it's happening, right? In 2009-17, I was there in 2016, has increased by over 200%, right? The ice loss. And what's happening is this with these penguins, right? They're losing their habitats because of the ice loss, right? And I witnessed a lot of ice melting every day. And this is also one of the team I'm part of at that time. And this is my expedition leader, Robert Swan. He's the first person who walked both North Pole and South Pole. I was just doing the solar panel. I'm being an electrical engineer. I thought of testing renewable energy there. I was just doing some solar panel testing and all those things. But I thought of doing something. I feel gratitude is something which can bring all of us together, and we should do. So when I went there, I thought of collecting all the good people, and why don't I write postcards? And then I've written to the chief minister of Sikkim at the time, and because Sikkim is the only state at the time who's completely organic, right? And I felt really good, and I thought why don't I congratulate, right? And I did written 20 plus postcards to different parts of the world. and they were very happy, and they published on their Press Trust of India a lot of news articles from the government has come of Sikkim. So I feel like small gratitudes can also make a lot of difference. So that's why I thought of putting this slide, and this is me raising our flag proudly in the continent. Yes, as Vikas rightly pointed, Antarctica has definitely motivated me a lot to incline, and it's a personal transformation more than anything. And this is something that I've written in Echo Harbor in Antarctica. I always read this. It's 22 March 2016. Bear with my handwriting. My handwriting is much better, but the temperature is minus 10 degrees, and I had to remove my glove to even scribble this. So these are my thoughts. I'm seeing heaven in front of me. Can hear sounds of nature. Nature is beautiful. It's pleasant. It's calm. It's creating ripples of happiness. I just heard sounds of chunks of ice collapsing. I can see many country citizens, but I wish to see a world citizen. So these are my words, sitting in the continent on the ice with minus 10 degrees and a lot of wind, writing this world. So why I'm sharing is that climate action is something that we can't say that you're from one country or you're from one country. We need world leaders to come together. We need all of us to come together because we are all facing this challenge. And that's why I've told, we need a world citizen to actually fight this. Me go to my next slide. Yeah. So after coming back to Antarctica, I was wondering, I did raise a lot of sponsorships, but I was 23 at the time, but I should come back and do something. So that's where I started, personal transformation, right? So I was just reading a news articles in India, and I came across there are vulnerable tribal communities in the eastern part of India on the Eastern Ghats, and they're having challenges of access to education, healthcare, and all. So I met a journalist, and he took me to a tribal community called Kodus in the eastern side of India. And this was my picture in 2016 with them, just with those children. They don't have any access to education, no proper healthcare, but they're still happy. But they're not sure about what is their future because most of them are into child labor, unfortunately. Because of no education and all. So, and as a community, we did a first meeting with the community. Yeah, this was my first meeting with the community in there, and it's not easy. Trust me, me doing a first meeting. The trust is a big challenge when working with such indigenous tribal communities living in the forest. But fortunately, we built the trust in a very short time, and we're able to build this school with the community, volunteering their efforts. We had to just give them material, and they themselves built the school. And now are these happy faces. They, like every child, they also have access to education now, access to government programs like midday meals, all these things. And I've started a similar intervention in other hamlet. You can see the transformation, right? It was 2019. Again, they don't have any access to education. They're happy, but they're unsure about their future and into child labor. In 2021, just a few months back, I was there, and they also have access to education like every other child that we see. So for me, working with tribal communities is important because they have the highest biodiversity in the world. As per the stats, 80% of the world biodiversity is in the forest. And these tribal communities are the protectors of our forest. If you don't help them with access to education, if we don't help them with access to healthcare, unfortunately, they will either migrate or they will either, completely collapse. Their communities will collapse. So that's the reason why I feel working with communities, especially vulnerable tribal communities, is important to protect our rich forests and our rich biodiversity. So this is one of the journey that I did after coming back to Antarctica. And then again, I was thinking I should do more. And then what are the simple things that I can do, lifestyle changes in terms of reducing my own carbon footprint, right? I started picking up cycling. I did cycle in my schooling. I did cycling in my +1, +2, but I didn't do it in my engineering. But I was thinking I didn't do before Antarctica, working in Delhi or some other places. That when I was in Bangalore and I was in Vijayawada at that time, I started commuting to work with cycle. And you can see as on today, I completed almost 7,000 kilometers on cycling. Like, I don't own a two-wheeler, I don't own a four-wheeler in terms of fossil fuel, but I'm happy that I commute by cycle. And I always talk to people you need not wait for a separate cycling lane, on roads. You need not worry too much about safety. You can actually, cycling takes you a much faster time in cities like Hyderabad and Bangalore, which are already congested, and it's very healthy thing. Yeah. So, and then I was like, I should take this message to masses, and I should reach to children, because I strongly believe if children are being aware of climate change, if children are being aware of environmental things, they can definitely take decisions quickly in terms of their lifestyle, and they can be more aware, because it's their future, right? That's now under threat. And they can also influence communities, especially their parents. So with my friends, Akbar and other few friends, Bharat, and we went on a cycling expedition in Andhra Pradesh, in the southern part of India. So it was a 2,000 kilometers expedition for 3 weeks. So the main idea is to meet communities in the mean way, especially farmers, to talk about natural farming, to reduce the pesticides, and also to meet children, especially in public schools, and talk about how environment is impacting and how climate change is happening. So this was happened in 2019. So this was me presenting a session to children there in a high school. And yeah, this is some picture in one of the community, right? So that is their happiness for me. So whenever I go to tribal communities, I get myself energized by seeing small things that are that we feel they find happiness in a lot of small things. So what are the top things, right? I mean, everyone can do many things. I don't push on the agenda. So, right. So one thing, easy things you can choose walk, right? Pedestrian, you can do cycle. I'm not talking about doing cycling or walking every day. At least if you can reduce one trip by car or one trip by a two-wheeler, which is emitting fossil fuels per week, I think that itself is a great start. So you can do that. I've been doing it for 3 years. Initially, I understand your friends might be going in a two-wheeler and your friends might be going in a car. But at a personal level, I feel very strong, when they see me cycling every day, and and I feel proud, I'm in the solution part, right? I'm not creating more emissions, right? And again, right, eat more locally grown season food, right? I don't still understand why people in South India eat apples. We still have more nutrition in other foods like Goa, right? Equal more nutrition. So I don't think so. We should import foods and all. We have a lot of good foods. Every country has a lot of wonderful seasonal foods, right? So think about the footprint, right? Importing food from avocado from Brazil or Australia or New Zealand, right? How much of footprint it's getting added, right? So try eating locally grown food, which is quite easy. I'm trying to follow that. I'm much happier, eating the locally grown food these days, right? So, and if possible, try to procure it from the farmers, because unfortunately they're the most vulnerable people, right? When it comes to climate change, not all of us are equally impacted, right? The rich developed countries and the rich people in the world or in our country are happy. Even if there are climate change impacts, they have their earthquake proof wonderful shelters for them to save, right? But unfortunately, these farmers, we can't protect them with this climate impacts, right? So try to procure food from them if possible, and get yourself upskill, right? I think you're already there. I can see almost 30 plus people already there getting upskill now, participating in this kind of discussion itself speaks a lot about you. And I recommend a documentary called Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore. It's a wonderful, an eye opener for me, in terms of putting the facts, how much are we actually impacting, what are the things that we can do. So please do watch it. And I've recently myself got trained. It's completely a free course. on climate reality, and it's a network of 37,000 people across the globe. So please get enrolled in such training courses. It's completely free, and that itself can build you that network and make you feel that you're not alone and you're not lost, and you're a lot of people. And volunteer with organizations. I completely agree with Nishant Garu. Like, you need to volunteer, right? Like, and as Vikas rightly mentioned, even I enjoy volunteering with organizations, like, who are working in different fields. And my field is climate action. So I'm part of an international group called Yango for the past 2 years. I can see a lot of colleagues here also on the panel. And I'm also, even though I run my own initiative, I feel like, if I'm part of with other organizations, I can also learn. So I'm also part of Global Shapers. It's a World Economic Forum chapter. We've recently completed 10 years. We have hubs in 175 cities across the globe. And yeah, so help communities who are vulnerable to climate change. That's what I was talking, like, not everyone is impacted, right? Even though there is floods happening, like you can see Uttarakhand floods, Kerala floods that happened, right? Who are the people that are impacted? They're not the people in the city, the people who doesn't have a proper shelter, the farmers, they are the people who are getting impacted. So try to work with the communities. Yes, this is a global problem, but you need to start acting local, right? You need solutions which are localized, which can be which works for your community. Like, we can't compare solutions that's happening in Africa and that's happening in America, right? So think about the global problem and work locally. And yeah, so I always talk like, do the 1%, right? I don't believe in complete transformation. From tomorrow, I'm going to stop plastic or I'm going to stop fossil fuels. No, it's not going to happen. It will take time. Trust me, it will take time. It's not easy changing yourself every day, right? So please push this 1%. I always talk to people like, reduce your footprint. It's not easy to suddenly, change your lifestyle. So it's okay. Even if you do 1%, reduce 1 kilometer of traveling on fossil fuel. That itself is a very good thing. So yeah, please be positive, right? We need, yes, there are disasters, yes, there are so many things happening like COVID, all those things, but I think ultimate thing is we need to take the positive message. If you have seen, like, the solar prices are coming down like anything. They're now almost competing with the fossil fuel prices, which is very positive. And electric vehicles is booming like anything in India right now. And a lot of people are now, fortunately, are moving towards electric, right? Like that is very good. And there are a lot of positive things. A lot of young people like us are not talking about climate action instead of talking about other things, right? So there are so many positive things. So please see the positive side of things, and happy to connect, happy to share more about any of the experiences that you want to know more. And yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity, guys.
I'm pretty sure that many of the audience want to connect with you. I'll share his contact number and also all the panelists, so you can get in touch with them and interact too.
So, growing up among the lush green environment and chirping sparrows, I have never even imagined that I would be speaking for their conservation. Because as a child, I was unaware of what climate change is. But the pandemic has acted as an eye opener for me. During the lockdown, youth energy was devoted to social problems and solutions and gave birth to many organizations. One such organization is Lives for Literacy. It started as a global youth that grassroots movement, and now it is an international Canadian based non-profit organization. Who says that volunteers never pays off? Volunteering not only brings the change in an individual, but also a revolution in the whole community. Started as a volunteer, I am now the director of community engagement. We focus on education, mental health, and human rights with a special emphasis on BIPOC and LGBTQIA plus communities. We have volunteers from more than 50 nations who participate in capacity building workshops and open leadership projects. Our motto is empowering humans. But you might be wondering how human rights are related to climate change. We often talk about climate education when it comes to positive approach. But the time has changed now. We have become so materialistic and self-centered that we pay heed only to those things which are related to our rights. Right to life and health are our human rights. But the dilemma is that what to do when one's rights are violated by oneself. At one time, we talk about restoration, revival, renaissance, etc. But at the other time, we act towards euthanasia and extinction. To understand it better, let's see what Frankie, the dinosaur, has a message for humanity. Can we have the video, please?
Listen up, people. I know a thing or two about extinction. And let me tell you, and you kind of think this would be obvious, going extinct is a bad thing. And driving yourselves extinct in 70 million years, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. At least we had an asteroid. What's your excuse? You're headed for a climate disaster. And yet every year, governments spend hundreds of billions of public funds on fossil fuel subsidies. Imagine if we had spent hundreds of billions per year subsidizing giant meteors. That's what you're doing right now. Think of all the other things you could do with that money. Around the world, people are living in. Helping them would make more sense than, I don't know, paying for the demise of your entire species. Let me be real for a second. You've got a huge opportunity right now as you rebuild your economies and bounce back from this pandemic. This is humanity's big chance. So here's my wild idea. Don't choose extinction. Save your species before it's too late. Stop making excuses and start making changes. Thank you.
Please
So
go ahead.
now you have understood that we have two options. The first one is extinction and the second one is renaissance. It's only up to us what to choose. You must be curious to know about my younger journey. So I like to participate in various model United Nations conferences. In one of the MUNs, I met Disha Sarkar, who is a member of Action for Climate Empowerment Group of Yango. There I came to know about it, and all my contributions made me its member. Yango is the official children and youth constituency of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It is not just an organization, rather a platform and a network of children and youth up to 35 years, as well as youth non-governmental organization. Formally recognized in 2009, we serve as an official value of young people from across the globe in climate negotiations under the UN climate change. We aim to empower children and youth around the globe to take action and be the drivers of meaningful, impactful, and positive change by raising awareness, sharing knowledge, building and advocating for pragmatic and ambitious climate change and environmental policies, and mobilizing for youth actions to achieve a livable and just future. We have tried to incorporate every aspect, be it policy making, underrepresented groups, energy, climate finance, loss and damage, food and agriculture, sustainable cities, mobility and transportation, health, climate justice and human rights, sustainable production and consumption, water, sanitation and oceans, wildlife and environment conservation, technology transfer and innovation, or arts, culture, and heritage. We implore decision makers to take decisive and bold actions now that ensure nobody is left behind. We urged all national governments and international institutions to legally acknowledge the basic rights of climate migrants so that they should be treated as the legitimate asylum seekers, even if they relocate to another place within the same country or are internationally displaced. We also urge them to recognize the rights of indigenous people. We strongly condemn the schemes and projects that incentivize deforestation and promote land grabbing, depriving indigenous people of their livelihoods and heritage, and call for their reconsideration. We demanded the inclusion and active participation of indigenous people in decision making processes. If you want to read our demands, please visit the official website, that is ukcoy16.org. If you want to engage with Lives for Literacy or Yango, feel free to approach me. But remember that if you are passionate about environment, you are enough to bring change. The community will itself inspired by you, and then you can form your own non-profit organization. Give meaning to your life. Try to engage with at least one organization. You are the future leaders. Before leading others, lead your own actions in positive way. It's high time to show solidarity. We can't make any excuse. If you are an individual, collaborate with other like-minded climate activists. If you represent an organization, collaborate with other partners. Climate change knows no boundaries, and so are restoration efforts. Speed up your actions. Start with small things like saving water, fossil fuels, energy, etc., at an individual level, and endeavor to reach the peak at global level. If I talk about the climate equation, population into consumption into nil emission gives happy planet. If we lower down the population to zero, the planet will be empty. And if we lower down the consumption to zero, human beings will be starving. So the best solution is to lower down emission. But even then, the temperature will continue to rise because of existing emissions. Therefore, the need of the hour is quick, effective efforts at large scale, not limiting to afforestation, mitigation, or adoption. I believe that together we can and we will. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jigyasa. And as you rightly mentioned, together we can, we will, and the time is now. As you rightly mentioned, it's now or never. Why? Because consciously or unconsciously, whether we wanted it or not, COVID has impacted our lives in multiple ways. So our consumption rate decreased. We are conscious about what we need to purchase, multiple other things. Gradually, as things are easing, it's time to decide the lifestyle choices that we want to go ahead. And absolutely right that you said that things has to happen on scale. And one appeal to all the group members and participants is that right now the schools are gradually opening up, colleges are gradually opening up. So if we can initiate this environment chapters in schools and colleges, that will go a long way. Post COVID, the time is right, and once we are regrouping and beginning our journey back to the normalcy, there has to be some course corrections that each of us has to take at every level, and let's all together play our part so that that institutional change will go a long way in establishing the behavior patterns. Thank you so much, Jigyasa. And also, this painting that we can see is the painting done by her. She is a wonderful painter, and she uses that skill as a tool for awareness, creating awareness. and a couple of her paintings got that recognition at the international level too. And I think I can share a few. Yeah, this is one of her painting that she did. Thank you, Jigyasa.
Briefly, I'm I'm social and youth climate activist. I have taken part in many associations and organizations trying to be the change, serving the SDGs, not only focusing climate change, but linking other SDGs to the climate change, because climate change is affecting everything, all sectors of life. So that's basically in general. So yeah, I would love to share my screen without keeping it too long. So is it really worth it to trust us, or is it really worth it? I loved this title so much because like, for example, I do live in a community where youth are not so engaged, and I would say I'm not like always given this the trust to implement things, to speak out. I would say this is exactly what my community is all about. So that's just like having this this title just sparked my interest, because I thought like probably we're not trusted enough. We're not still having the chance to speak out and try to go for actions, like, because they didn't even try that option, which is giving the floor to them. So that's why I insist always on this theme of youth engagement, especially when it comes to decision and policy making. So they say youth contribution and engagement have made a great impact in today's era. What about tourism and all the aspects of life that can be related to climate change? Have they done anything? And if nothing was done yet, is it really worth it listening to their ideas on that field? So I do believe that if youth have been given the chance to speak out, to give recommendations, proposals that can change their community and the world, and I would say just spread their impact, because we all know that youth period will not last forever. So and me as a young change maker, I hope so, I would love to use this period of my life wisely, where I can leave my touch, especially when it comes to social work and community service, because I do know, or I'm pretty sure that this is the best period where we can go for such things, instead of just thinking of business and how to be rich, and that in a very young age. That's what I do believe in. It's like, it's more about leaving your touch more than thinking of how for the future that you can do it with your field of work, with your field of study or anything. Next, please. Thank you. Say yes to youth contribution. Youth with any background are more likely to get involved, not because of their academic background that requires them to do this, but because they do have interest in to make such contributions in this field, which is always the climate change, social work, and community service. So are we still going to stick to the idea of, nah, it's too risky? For example, when I started my own initiative, it was first suggested to my authorities, even though I have always been there representing my country and my community in both national and international level. And I would say, yes, thankfully, like, I do have this connection with my authorities, or the government, I would say. But when I suggested something new, it was like, it's really great to be suggested from you, but like, it's too risky now. I'll just leave it for later, tomorrow, next month, whatever they said. So that was like, for me, but I will not stay young forever. I want to do it now. So because it's the right time for it, especially as you all know, as you may know, Algeria experienced fires, a very challenging experience, unfortunately, where we have lost many people, many farms, many animals just because of the fires. And the only solution was to keep watching everything going away from you, and that was really hard to see. I mean, like, I wasn't in my country when that happened, and just seeing my friends, hearing that they became homeless between one night and another, it was not easy, especially that I was not in my country there. trying to contribute, trying to, I don't know, suggest. And that was really hard because, as I stated, the only solution was to watch. Because if you try to take action, you're going to end up dying. So just watch everything, I would say, vanishing away from you, and that was so hard for to experience, especially for the first time ever. Like, that's why I have always believed that delaying things for tomorrow, for the next month, for 2030, as they always say, is literally not the good option. Like, we have always to suggest what is immediate, like now, whether in words or actions. And I can see that we're doing a great job in words. So no need for words anymore, because panelists are saying the same thing every single time I do attend something. It's always the same thing stated again and again and again. Now, what we're needing is actions. I want to see actions getting implemented. That's what I want to see. I'm to be honest, I'm sick of these words that is actually always stated by me or by other panelists. We need actions to be taken, immediate actions. And why, like, it's time our recommendations will be like, yeah, of course, we will take it in consideration. It's going to be all implemented by the 2030 according to the agreement. Why we're sticking to this agreement? Like, I am already telling you what is in the agreement. So why you're always like delaying things for later? I don't know if it is a matter of trust. It is a matter of not risking that. I don't know what's the idea that the authorities usually think of. And then, as I stated, I asked my authorities for that, and I did not really get that support to start my own initiative, which is all about climate, especially that my community is not a community where actions are usually taking. They are barely taking, especially in the climate change and fight for climate change and climate justice. So I asked another organization, and then I participated in one of the conferences where I talked about my idea. And then the France embassy in Romania, they suggested to defend my entire idea to just go and implement it in my country. And to be honest, yes, I was happy, but also disappointed, because I cannot believe that another country or another government is actually defending my own idea and supporting me and always like encouraging me, just go for it. And if anything is needed, we're here. And that was like really, really disappointing, even though I was happy. It was like a very weird feeling. I don't know how to express it. But what matters now is that I'm in the process of founding that and putting it into actions. And the good thing is that I have seen people or young change makers as well, who really wants to get involved, who wants to take actions and believe in actions more than words. And I had the chance also to deliver my voice to the journalists and everyone that what was stated about the youth yesterday was totally wrong, because they used to say Algerians are not so interested in climate change and in taking actions. They're just not into that. But we have proved that that was all the opposite. And they just waited for that first person who's going to take that first action and just go with it and get involved. So yeah, my message in here, there's a quick message: be that person who is going to bring that new thing, no matter how impossible it was and how many obstacles you face, because yes, you're going to face them and it's going to be so hard. And but just deal with it in your own way. That would be my message. It was just a quick message. I hope you got it. Next, please. Thank you. What are the ideas that we can suggest to improve this world? I would say, believe in more actions. Please do give the floor to youth to take more actions. Do believe in their words from the action perspective, not just as words. Because I have participated in many conferences where we have given proposals and recommendations, but I still did not see any of my actions that I have just put in there are still not implemented. Like, so is it only always words on paper and not any actions taking? I don't know what these recommendations were made for, because what I have been told was these words and these proposals are going to be turned into actions. But till now, I'm still not seeing them. From 2019 till now, I still did not see anything. So this is why I do insist on this point. I do believe that probably authorities are not believing in sustainability and not believing in the future, because what they are focusing more is mainly about, let's just let's just work on the current situation. And just, always doing this and insisting on this famous expression, I would say then give us the floor to work for sustainability. Give us the floor and you just work on the current situation, and we're going to be working on the future situation. Because to be honest, I don't want to be blamed for having a destroyed future, or maybe not even having a future for the next generation. I don't want to be blamed for that. I'm going to be doing my part. And just because you didn't want to work on that in an early time, that it's going to be my fault with you. So I don't want to be blamed for any of that. And I do insist in making my own part, because I do believe that my part is going to add something to my community and to the world. So that's why I highly recommend everyone, if you do have any idea, any action that can be taken immediately, no matter how hard it's going to be, go for it, because everything going to be hard no matter what you did. So that's another message. Do take actions, face these obstacles of policies and rules, because indeed, at the end, it's going to lead to something. Trust me, but it's going to lead to something. I'm saying this for the second time. Thank you. The next, please. Yeah, one more thing. I do believe that governments and even the entire world, the UN, who have been always there for youth, as I stated, I do insist on the fact of opening the door to opportunities where everyone can help in knowing the problems that trying to solve it, and then trying to solve it. I forgot the end. And then trying to solve it. Now, if we have been introduced to problems and what our communities are facing and what the world is actually needing, okay, then we're having a lot of minds in here, and we're having a lot of youth who probably can suggest ideas and turn them into actions. So if we haven't always got introduced to that and have been involved in decision and policy making, which is why I'm actually studying political science. I was computer science, and then I moved to political science just because of the idea of I want to get involved in policy making and decision making, because I do believe that I can be a good fit on that, and I am ready to really give good proposals that I'm ready personally to turn it into actions later. So if me, and I'm sure that there are better people than me up there, and amazing change makers and leaders who are already ready to be the leaders of tomorrow, who are going to do more than I'm actually talking about now. Because our words are so easy to be stated, but turning them into actions are the hard part. So if we have been introduced to that, and if we just, just this small move that me as youth, I have been invited to get involved in decision making, is already something amazing. It's amazing feeling. You will be like, I have been given the trust, so we have to prove that it really worth it. So I do insist on this point, and I would say, let's just say, do more so that you can have the chance to be in that table where you will be insisting on that decision and on that policy. That's another message in here. Next, please. Yeah. Also, always, because I live in a community where such things never happen. That's why I do insist on that. On this two, I would say these 2 points. Organize international conferences and summits. And by the way, if we got paid, it should be fully funded most of times. Organize international conferences and summits where youth recommendations can be always presented in the table of discussion, and as recommendations stated to turn into actions. Because such things never happens in Algeria. I have attended other summits only in my neighbors, the countries that neighbored me, like Morocco and Tunisia, where such conferences are actually happening. But for my country, it's never happening. And if it happens, then the internationals will be attending virtually, and we're going to be physically attending, which is so weird for me, because that's usually never happens. So we don't bring internationals to our countries where we can exchange this, ideas, how they did make things happen in their countries, so that we can bring these ideas again. I would not say copying, because in good things, copying is allowed, I would say. So we don't have, this mindset in our country where, internationals can get involved and can exchange ideas, because I would love to hear how my friend did things in his country, in Panama, or in Philippines, or in the United States, or in India, or not. So I would love to know how they did make things happen, and then try to, as we say, paraphrase it. I know this is used only in essays, but we're going to be paraphrasing it in our own way, and try to implement it and bring it to our community, so that we'll be all having the same mindset that is just cycling in all of our countries. And all was done by youth, which is the best part ever. Third is encouraging the innovative ideas and all that can bring change to our communities by supporting them with finance and giving them the trust, to just do it. So yes, I do insist on funding, because youth usually, when taking actions, the first problem, or I would say the second obstacle that they usually face after policies and rules, actually the finance and the funding, because usually they really want to sometimes even propose ideas that can be I would say the revolution of the country, but they just but I don't know, again, it's a matter of trust, or it's not the right time for it. So if they have been just given this finance, just finance that can be always allocated to youth for every single month, for every single brilliant idea that can be suggested, then why not having this as well? And I'm talking again from my country perspective, and other countries that I have heard the same thing happening in their countries as well. So I do insist a lot on this point, because always the finance and everything that can be paid is actually something that was the huge obstacle for most youth, including myself, to be honest. The accreditation and finance and funding will be always included, because we are investing on youth. And for me, the best investment that any country can do would be always the investment of youth, because that's going to lead to something at the end. And it's led before, it has been implemented before in other countries. And that's how countries actually are having this, the top, I would say, class always, classmen always. So yes, why not going for that as well? Next, please. Yeah. Okay. Be happy for having them representing their countries by insisting on showcasing their work and achievements, and always motivate. Okay, this grammar, sorry. Motivate them with just words to continue their great work. Okay, for example, I have, when I have been in Milan for the Quick Hope 26, I really got a lot of people, I sparked the interest of the embassies here in my country, and the journalists, foreign journalists, more than my country's ones. My governments and the journalists of my government were not as interested as the foreigners. Let's just put it that way, which is for me so weird. I don't know. I was supposed to have this feeling of my country being proud of me for being the only delegate for my country that is actually representing that serious thematic in Milan. So and just and that feeling just really was something that probably decreased my energy and my motivation to go for more actions, because I don't know how to put it in words, but probably you got me, not not having that attention from your government and authorities, supporting you. Please keep doing that for your country. We're really so proud of you, and keep it up. And even though I did receive that I got that from embassies and here and foreigners, but for me it was not the same feeling that I wanted, probably, or that I was expecting it, but I don't know. I hope this can be changed a little, because it's really needed, and it's going to help in something, and it's going to lead to something. That feeling is not anything, but it's something that will absolutely change something on us. By being more by just loving that fact of always representing your country and being that person there, doing more for that, I would say. So yeah. Next, please. Yeah. So for now, a quick question for everyone. After, just representing everything and let's just say putting the final point, which is not insisting on words, but more in actions. Now, what do you think? Is it really worth it? Having youth contributing, improving their communities? Is it really even like worth it to trust as, okay, forgot the as. Is it really worth it to trust as on this or no? So I don't know, it's an answer that only probably as who can answer, or maybe our governments and authorities. Is it even worth it to have us more like involved and included in decision policy making? Just we need an answer for that. Is it worth it or not? So that we're always here to do more. So if just give us this floor for us, and we're gonna be doing it all. Just you guys focus on the current situation, and we're gonna be focusing on the future. Okay, that would and how sustainable our future should be. Next, please. Again, thank you so much for being here and for just listening to me. I hope it was not that boring, and I hope I was little right. I hope that. So thank you so much again for just doing everything and for the invite. It was really a huge honor of mine to be here, and yeah, keep changing and keep being the change makers of your communities, and because we are the leaders of tomorrow, and we're going to be blamed for the future, for having a destroyed future. So we have to work on not being blamed, right? So yeah, thank you so much again.
Thank you so much, Selma. And one word which struck me, and I'm sure it's with everyone else, it's action. Action at every level and action, yeah. There should be a decade of action, as you rightly mentioned, for the Sustainable Development Goals 2030. And your voice has that energy and that positivity and voice of hope and the spirit of yes we can. So amazing. It's so inspiring to hear you.
Thank you so much. This is nothing. I just woke up, so usually my energy is more than that. So yeah, thank you so much again.
And by the way, Selma, you asked this, right? Can we trust youth? Can we trust youth? Can we trust youngsters? So that's the only hope.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. Youngsters have the energy, they have ideas, they know the power of technology, they can network, they can collaborate. So, and especially
yeah,
when
I think.
Yeah, please go ahead, Selma.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think, youth, if they have been trusted, we can really do a lot, especially because, I am a person who loves the idea of decision, of decision and policy. I just love these two words so much. And if I have been just given the floor to do that, I am ready to devote 24 hours for just working on that paper that actually will be like a 100% promise that can be turned into action. Because I'm sick of always giving recommendations of proposals that are still till now only proposals on papers and only words, and still not turned into action. I'm sick of that. And if I have been inviting next time for proposals and recommendations, I will definitely reject that because I'm sick of that, to be honest. I'm now looking for actions. Like it's always, and I hope like for the pre-COP, they promise like that this is actually going to be turned into the COP26, and like they will absolutely work on that from the action perspective. So we're hoping for that, even though I remember like the last day for the pre-COP26 where the ministers were actually giving comments on our own recommendations. And I remember that we were like asking questions, and we were like receiving answers that were planned at home, like that are so not related to what we were saying. And we were like, what is going on in here? This is not related to where we just stated in the recommendations. So, I hope like things will be more serious, because like we're done with this. Like, for God's sake, you're a minister and you're giving me answers that are still not related. And then we were like so angry and being so informal with that. So I cannot even continue on that because it's gonna lead to something. So yeah, I hope things gonna be more serious in here, really.
I want to share one thing. Here in India, most of the governmental work happens standing committees. In the parliament, there is a lot of hue and cry, and they fight each other, and hardly any productive work happens in the sessions. but most of the constructive work happens in the standing committees. They say that India has the highest number of youth population. India has more than 50 crore people who are below the age of 20. But there's no voice in the standing committee for youth. A very close friend of mine, Shravan, so he spoke with all the parliamentarians, Indian parliamentarians who are below the age of 30. And he's keenly focusing on initiating the standing committee for youth in Indian parliament. So because see, these are the 50 crore people are below the age of 20, and if they don't have any voice, that's very sad, right? So similarly, if those platforms and avenues are there, and in many of the places also, I always say this, in many of the forums, and they value people with gray hair. If someone comes with gray hair, they see that array, they have all the knowledge in the world and we have to listen them. But if some youngster comes and says that, they say that, okay, you just go do some activity, you take this, you take this. They don't give time to listen the thought and ideas of youngsters. But I see that changing. Yango is a wonderful platform. And if you see the green evolution. Anna?
Let's gray our hair.
And I must say this about Council for Green Devolution, the main organization which has organized this session. It was started by a person called Leela Lakshmareddy Garu. At the age of 50 years, she was reading a book, and the title of the book is Fire. While reading that book, by then she was a grandmother already with grandchildren. And while reading that book, she got this thought like, all my life I did multiple things for family, but what did I do for the public or society at large? Then while reading that book itself, she promised herself that she will start an organization with the dream of planting 1 crore saplings and nurturing them. She shared it with her family, and her family, along with them, they met a couple of environmental activists, professors, and they brought together a small team and they started their work in the year 2010. And in the last 10 years, they have planted close to 36 lakh saplings, 3.6 million saplings. And they raised them especially by engaging almost close to 3 lakhs school children. That's the greatest part. And in today's platform also, they wanted youngsters to be the voice and youngsters to lead the change. And during this 13 days conference of people also, the first day was children and climate change, because there can't be no greater ambassadors than children. Pradeep, he mentioned, right, he was part of many flood relief activities and all. During our school days also, our schools used to say, right, each of us should collect some funds for flood relief activity. Because if a child owns a cause, they put in their heart and soul into it. If we can communicate and convey this thing to children, so they'll be the greatest of ambassadors, and they can be the most powerful change agents. Be it in home, be it in, they'll say that no, using plastic is wrong. No, using this is wrong. They'll see that things are done. They'll cry if needed, but they'll ensure that right things are done. And as we discussed, now that we want to achieve a sustainable future, yes, we are a small group of people, around 30 were there, right now we are 24. They say it right, never underestimate the power of a small but committed group of people to change the world. Indeed, they are the ones who had ever changed the world. So, I want to share two thoughts which we had. A couple of years ago, former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir, passed away. I went for his funeral just to soak in that atmosphere, that energy, and that vibe. Lakhs of youngsters gathered there. So, all inspired by him. Only thought that was running in my mind was, if we can channelize this energy for constructive work and create these platforms for them to come and express their energy for good, how wonderful the world would be. And to implement that in action, one idea that came to us was, suppose if you are doing any event, or any volunteering activity, it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to coordinate people, call them, follow up, to organize one event. So the idea is very simple. Suppose if we can narrow down on 2 volunteering days per month, that will be, those days will be fixed every month. Suppose say second weekend or so, and we keep adding more and more volunteers, organizations to that. Someone might be passionate about education. They might go and visit a school and interact with school children. Someone might be interested in blood donation drive. Someone might be interested in plantation. Someone like Jigyasa might be interested in making a beautiful art and using it for awareness, wall painting or anything like that. So the idea is, if we can bring in more and more number of youngsters, collaborate with schools and colleges, engage them in constructive work. I always have this thought. India has like close to 50 crore youngsters and children. If all of them can take a plantation in a day and each of them plant 2 or 3 saplings, the numbers will be like, it'll be in hundreds of crores. So the basic idea is, we have a lot to learn from how Ngo operates, and we'll collaborate with you more and more. We interact with you more and more. And I have a request to all the panelists today, especially from the Ngo group, Pradeep, Selma, and Jigyasa. For the things that we are trying to do here in Hyderabad, we want you to be mentors for all the youngsters here. If you can give 1 hour of your time, maybe per month or so, we want the group which is active on ground here to interact with you guys as soon as possible in your convenient time, so that you guys have brought in a lot of energy to the discussions today. And especially that sustainable development goals, that 17th goal is there, right? Power of partnerships. So that is extremely important, and I see youngsters are the ideal people who can build in those partnerships. As I was mentioning about CGR, Council for Green Revolution, they have extensively traveled across Eastern Ghats, and they have come up with a book called Eastern Ghats Environment Outlook, and that was released by former President of India, Pranab Mukherjee. So it's a wonderful dedicated team, and there are many other organizations like Dharma Seva. We started an initiative called Aikyata Initiative. There are many organizations like Nirman and all. We are trying to build a convergence of all these organizations. And thank you so much. Very excited, very happy. And let's analyze this, and let's keep the dialogue and exchange of ideas going. I'm very grateful to Pradeep, especially for connecting Jigyasa and Selma. Thank you, Dharmendra Anna.
I just wanted to see that, I want to say that, I agree that youth need to be, this is the time to involve youth more into the all these actions. But at this same time, the awareness is as well equal to the seniors and people above 50 years age like me, because I too still feel that I started giving back to society after 50 years of age only, because of late realization. Apart from that, the youth like you and speakers like Pradeep, Jigyasa and Salma, events are equally important to seniors. Like suppose if you want to go to a college and take a session for students, so before that you have to equally educate the lecturers, principals, etc., who are working in that college. It is equally important, I think, because so that they won't stop their children and the youth participating in events like this. It is equally important. Similarly, mothers, grandmothers who work in kitchen, they also need awareness of the greenery, about how to separate the garbage from kitchen, because the change, whether in seniors or in youth, girls or boys, the change, I believe that it must start from the kitchen. So like that, let us not stop the awareness sessions to youth only. That is my request. It is equally important. And thank you for giving me a time for a few minutes. And just I wanted to add 2 lines that I am also a volunteer. Apart from my own NGO, so I am a volunteer in Palles Srijana NGO and Dhruvansh NGO. Briefly, Dhruvansh NGO works for restoration and of lakes and saving lakes from occupation, from occupying. And Palestinian NGO works for grassroots innovations from village in the field of farming tools and equipment for farming and methods of farming in villages. So the Palestinian NGO brings up the innovations, grassroots innovations, and let them get a Rashtrapati award. Apart from spreading the innovations to different villages and farmers. This is just I want to add a brief. Later I will connect with you because for more details. And thank you once more. I have a session at 5. I need to leave. Thank you, Vikas. Thanks to everybody for the great messages. Sharma, Jigyasa, and Pradeep. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you so much, sir.
Just about what I think his Mr. Naga asked before, and I just noticed that question. It's so interesting. He said, should one have compulsory literacy and education to be included in this journey? And he asked this question for everyone. Well, my answer for this, to be honest, most of times when I do, for example, get involved in conference or anything, my field was never asked. You know, they never asked me, are you studying or but what you're doing and what do you want to do and what have you done? You know, so it's always these questions that I always get. It has never to deal with your level of education or are you a college student or whatever, as long as you're probably youth or even not, but you're trying to do some change, that this is actually what is required. You know, to be honest, I would not say education is never needed. It is needed, but just that amount that probably you're gonna need when taking certain action and when you can talk, you know, and when you can speak out, so that people would not take this excuse, no, because you're not educated probably, then we cannot really accept that from you. That's the excuse probably people sometimes going to take it against you. So just have that amount where you can really start the change and taking actions. Otherwise, nothing is needed, to be honest, you know, because I have never been asked that. It's always about the actions I have done or what I'm going to be doing. So that would be my answer for you. I don't know what the others going to answer, how they can answer that.
Just one line that Jigyasa, thank you thank you so much for the reply. I raised the point because when the point of inviting or including youth comes, everybody looks at schools and colleges, but I want people to go to low profile areas also and get the youth from there also get involved into the action. That's why I raised the question. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree, and that's a nice one, really. Thank you so much for asking.
Selma, you just mentioned in one of your slides that to do anything which is significant, that academic background and any degree doesn't matter. All that matters is the spirit, right? So CGR, Council for Green Revolution, is a collective of that spirited people. There are many who are working at grassroots, and as Nagamohan sir mentioned, we need people who work on ground at grassroots. So CGR's real strength is activities on ground. Most of their work is in villages with farmers, with government school children, and local communities. So very happy, and let's take the collaboration and going. Selma, you are on mute.
It's so nice that they do believe in this, really. I wish they were, I was like, sure, they're saying something amazing and I love it. I just didn't know what is it, but I was sure it was amazing to hear. But now I got it. It's so amazing, really, to listen to that. And it's amazing to have such contributions and involvement. It's really amazing. I really wish them the best. And of course, we're looking for contributions from around the world, of course. And that's the best of this virtual things, I would say. Amazing indeed.
I was more like you mentioned, my involvement is more with the Isha Foundation and whatever actions it takes towards, there are different variety of actions it takes, like in terms of rural health and education and as well as climate change. And they are coming up with, I think, if I'm not wrong, next year, Sadhguru said they're starting to with a movement called Conscious Planet, where the idea is to just raise awareness in everyone about maybe like one or two things that must happen in their country, and maybe one two things that should never happen in their country in terms of climate, right? So because Sadhguru says everything whatever we need, the solutions to fix our planet is already there with us. We have PhDs on it, and all the solutions are sitting there in papers somewhere, right? But the idea, the most important thing is those solutions need to enter each and every home, each and every person's mind, and only then, only when these things become a political issue, and when everyone starts, asking for those, demanding for those fixes, only then it'll even the politicians will take them up. So that I mean sounded like a um, very good idea, right? It's all about bringing awareness to everyone, and only when politicians take it up, at least as a number two item in their agenda, things will start to happen, right? So I'm very much looking forward to that. And he said, the campaign will be starting somewhere next year in 2022. So yeah, and all the very best for all the panelists here and whoever has joined the meeting, and with who has some intention of doing something for the better. Thank you very much.
Leela Lakshmareddy ma'am is the one who initiated Council for Green Revolution. She led 36 lakh saplings are planted, and I shared about the Eastern Ghats environmental outlook, and she is the strength and soul of Council for Green Revolution.
అందరికీ గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్. ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ లో పార్టిసిపేట్ చేసిన ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి ధన్యవాదాలు. మేము ఇక్కడ ఫిజికల్ గా ఎర్త్ సెంటర్ లో ప్రోగ్రామ్ జరిగింది. పాలమూరు యూనివర్సిటీ నుండి చాలా మంది స్టూడెంట్స్ వచ్చారు. ఈరోజు క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్ అండ్ యూత్ రోల్ అనే టాపిక్ పైన చాలా అద్భుతంగా అక్కడ వికాస్ ఆధ్వర్యంలో మనకి జూమ్ మీటింగ్స్, మరి ఫిజికల్ గా ఇక్కడ పాలమూరు యూనివర్సిటీ అండ్ అదర్ సిటీ కాలేజ్ అందరు పిల్లలు వచ్చారు. సో మనమైతే సొసైటీలో ఒక మంచి అవేర్నెస్ తేవడానికి ఇలాంటి ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ మనమైతే కండక్ట్ చేస్తున్నాం. డెఫినెట్ గా COP26 లో జరిగేటువంటి చర్చలు ఫలప్రదం కావాలని, మనము ఈ గ్లోబ్ మదర్ ఎర్త్ కోసం మన అందరం కలిసి పని చేయాలనేటువంటి ఒక డిసిషన్ తీసుకోవడం జరిగింది. మరి ఈ రోజు ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అంతా గ్రాండ్ సక్సెస్ కావడానికి చాలా మంది దీని వెనకాల పనిచేస్తారు. వాళ్ళందరినీ కూడా నేను అప్రిషియేట్ చేస్తూ, ముఖ్యంగా ఈ రోజు టాపిక్ సక్సెస్ కావడానికి ముఖ్య కారకులు వికాస్ అండ్ టీమ్. థ్యాంక్ యూ వికాస్. మీ అందరికీ కౌన్సిల్ ఫర్ గ్రీన్ రెవల్యూషన్ అండ్ ఎర్త్ సెంటర్ తరఫున నేను ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేస్తున్నాను. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్.
సో బాగా చేశారు. చూసిన నేను అప్పటి నుంచి చూస్తున్నాను, చాలా మంది మాట్లాడింది చాలా అద్భుతంగా ఉన్నది. ఈ రోజు యూత్ క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్ చాలా బాగా చేశారు. కంగ్రాచులేట్ చేస్తున్నాం మొత్తం టీమ్ కు. ఓకే, గుడ్.
Silpa Akka, she does a lot of good work with farmers. She started a group called Connect to Farmer.
I have been attending the meeting, and I have seen all the speakers. It's been really great work by everyone. And a special thanks for you, Vikas, for this organizing, informing this platform first of all. And you are trying to bring everyone together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akka. Shilpa Akka started an initiative called Connect to Farmer, and she has organized multiple webinars. And she had brought together thousands of them under one platform where exchange of ideas happened and exchange of successful case studies, and some of them went to the field and they did workshops there too. And she stays in Singapore, but her heart is in Indian villages. More strength to you, Akka. You are a huge inspiration.
Thank you. And if anyone is interested, they can visit our Facebook page, Connect #2 Farmer. Thank you. Yeah.
Bharat, after his engineering and masters also, he chose to work in the sustainability space. So he how to put it? Um, he works with eco-friendly products, and he's doing a lot of work there to look for alternatives for day-to-day items that we use, but not eco-friendly. Bharat,
I'm happy that I could join this Zoom session. Yesterday, I missed the yesterday's topic session. So, I could attend and I could listen to all the speakers. It was really motivating and inspiring. Like people from different walks of life working and focusing on environmental issues and inspiring people like us. So, I'm also like very much interested to just connect to Earth Center and Council for Green Revolution. So I'm just looking forward to be there at the Earth Center once. Thanks for the session, and hope I'll be wishing to join other sessions also in coming days.
Yeah, it's a pleasure joining the group, the webinar. As youths, we have a major role to play in terms of fighting for our future. Because we're very young and we started feeling the impact of climate change earlier than our future older generations, because they are already passing. So we need to come together and act collectively. Do not work in silo. Ensure that we work collectively to see that we hold our leaders accountable. As one of the proverbs say, that the planet was not borrowed from our forefather, but also from current or future generation, that they must ensure that they take practicable solution in order to protect our future. We as youths are the front line of climate change. Major youth, more especially from Africa. I'm from West Africa, and I happen to be the focal point for the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance. Recently, we organized a roadshow in raising awareness, bringing other youths on board, because actions can be at various levels and at different strata, individually, collectively, and as a community within households. So we all need to do our best. We all need to take action, no matter how small or how little your action, but every action counts. Whatever thing we do can make tremendous difference. And most importantly, when we all join forces together in fighting and taking action or fighting climate change, we can make a tremendous difference. So as youths, it is good that this webinar is being organized, and so that the voice of the youth, young people at least might be brought forward, and we can provide alternatives towards solving the problems, because we are part of the problem and we have a stake, because the future belongs to us, and we don't want a future that will be passed over to us that is degraded, that is depletable. So it is good that we come together, and I'm happy to be part of this webinar. It's a pleasure joining. Again, I'm Henry David Bayo from Sierra Leone, focal point for Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance.
thank you so much. Thanks to each and everyone for your time. With this, we'll conclude this session. And we see this as a beginning. It's beginning for a larger collaboration going ahead. Let's be in touch.